Good afternoon, everyone. I see we've got people that are logging in right now. So we're going to give everybody a minute or so to get signed on. If you have your camera available to you, please turn it on because I like for these to be as interactive as possible. I like to see the shining faces of all my clients and friends. So hi, Marie, how are you? Hi, everyone. So we're going to have some fun, and we're going to talk about what I think is, especially right now, a very important topic, and that is developing and using our value proposition. So we're going to give just a few more seconds and then we'll get started. Boy, I don't know about you guys, but right, it is hot where I am. Anybody else hot? Like really, really hot?
Yes,
Even in air.
even.
I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas, and they say it's 93 right now, but we've got about 80% humidity. So our heat index is like 106, right? Something right about there. Last night we were up at like 112 index, and it was so humid you couldn't even walk outside. So hopefully fall is right around the corner. So Hall,
Yeah,
where are you calling from?
me,
Yes.
Chicago. It feels like Florida here.
Does it?
Yeah, it's so and I'm a big door knocker and I haven't been able to because I'm in a suit and it's like 95 and humid as hell.
I had a door knocker that was selling solar come by yesterday, and I did a call earlier today on door knocking, and I said to the group, so Hall, I said, sometimes based on the weather, you've got to dress weather appropriate. And this young man came to the door and he was wearing some nice khaki shorts, and he had on a really nice polo. His hair was cut. Now, I didn't buy the solar, but I did appreciate his initiative. So I love the suit, but sometimes it's okay to ditch the suit.
But you know what? I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't because I sweat like crazy. So my suit jacket actually hides all the sweat that's coming through on my shirt.
Well, there you go. And it could be a good weight loss thing
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. It
All
is
right.
exercise.
Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. So let me introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. My name is Sydney Fullen, and I'm a coach for Watson Powers Coaching. Been in real estate for a very, very long time. It is my passion. It's what I do, and I'm excited to be in real estate every single day. When people say, so, what's your next chapter? My first chapter, second chapter, this chapter, next chapter is all about real estate. So I'm glad that you're here and on the journey with me. So if you have your camera available, if it's possible, turn your camera on, because it's just more fun to talk to like faces, to be perfectly honest. I think I do better when I can see your shining faces. And I also like it to be as interactive as possible. So we've got agents from North America and from Canada. So we're going to learn together. And today we're going to talk about a very important topic, which is mastering your value proposition. Now, I'll tell you guys, never in the business has this been more important. This doesn't apply to our Canadian friends as much, but if you're in the US today, we know the changes that are coming with on August the 17th, blah, 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 right? I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of listening to it. I get scared every time I go on social media and I see some of the questions that our fellow real estate agents are asking about this, because it really does display the lack of professionalism, but it shows me that as an industry, we really don't understand our value. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, maybe this group we do, but you see some of the questions that are being asked, or the fear that these agents have about the buyer agreements and so forth. It's no wonder most agents don't make it in the business today, because if you don't have a strong value proposition, how are you going to compete against great real estate agents like the ones we have on the call today? So I chose this topic for that reason, but also because when I finally figured my personal value proposition out, it changed me forever. So to give you a little context, I've been doing this for a minute. And for many years early in my career, I think some of you will be able to relate to this. I couldn't take a listing. I was a really good buyer's agent and I did well. I was very productive, but I'd been in business for probably, oh gosh, maybe 5 or 6 years, and I couldn't take a listing. Even if I got the appointment, I couldn't take a listing. And so I did a lot of reflection on this. And what I figured out is that I had a lot of deep-seated insecurities because I didn't know what I brought to the table. There was an agent in our office, lovely lady by the name of Shirley Smith. Now, Shirley had, the really expensive suits. This is back when women wore pantyhose, everyone. And she had the expensive pantyhose and the pumps, and she drove a Mercedes, and she had the jewelry, and she was beautiful, and she was a great listing agent. And in my mind, I felt so insecure. I was young, but I thought, why would anyone list their home with me when they could list with a Shirley Smith? Because Shirley represented all of these agents that I saw as being very successful listing agents. Can anybody, it's okay if you've ever felt that way, because I'm being pretty raw with you guys. Anybody ever felt insecure about this? Like, why would they choose me? And so think about how that impacts everything that you do. It impacts your schedule and how productive you're going to be that day. It impacts how you prospect, how powerful you are when you're prospecting. It impacts pre-qual, lead follow-up. And for goodness sakes, it impacts the listing presentation. So I did some soul searching, and we're going to get more into this later, but about your journey on this. But my soul searching was, what could make me different? How can I be different from everybody else? So I thought to myself, what are the two things that I hear from sellers all the time, or from just the general public? The first one is that they never heard from the real estate agent. Have you guys ever heard that one? Never heard from my agent. That's the most common complaint the consumer has about our industry today. So that was number one. And number two, that they didn't feel like their agent was honest with them. They didn't say that the agent lied to them, but they didn't feel like the agent was 100% honest. And I thought about those two issues for a long time. And so my personal value proposition became that, number one, they were going to get the highest level of communication that they'd ever had from a real estate agent. And we literally would call them after every showing. I would personally call them once a week and go over all the numbers and all the activity. Even at that time, the market was terrible. Even if nothing happened, I would still call them. And my pledge was they were going to hear from me more than they probably wanted to. Then the second thing was I was going to be brutally honest. Now, we can take this in a lot of different directions, but to me, what that meant is when it came time to talk to that client about what it was going to take to get their home sold, I was going to be honest. I was going to tell them the truth. I was going to tell them the truth about price. I was going to tell them the truth about their condition, tell them the truth about the market conditions. I was going to tell them the truth about what it was going to take to get their home sold. And if I didn't think it was the right time for them to sell their home, I was going to tell them that too. And so I internalized that as my value proposition. You know what happened? Once that became part of my belief system, within a very short period of time, I was listing property like crazy. And to the point that I was listing, about 18 months later, I started listing about 8 to 10 homes every single month. Now, what's really funny is I never actually had to talk about my value proposition very much. Because see, guys and gals, once you internalize it, you wear it like a badge of honor, and your confidence in yourself just radiates everywhere. And then that attracts people to you. So that's how important this is. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
So I went to ChatGPT because it's my new best friend. And I said, what is a value proposition? So I'm going to read you what it says. It says value proposition is a clear and concise statement that communicates the unique benefits and value a business offers to its customers. It explains why a customer should choose your product or service over the competitors by highlighting how you solve their problems or fulfill their needs in a way that is distinct, compelling, and relevant. Okay, that's a good definition, right? So what it is in essence, it is the foundation of your business. So write this down. This is a key point. Your value proposition is the core message that defines the essence of your business and the reason that someone would want to do business with you. So it's really at the center of who you are and what your business is.
Sydney, can you repeat that, please?
I sure can. Thank you, Michael. I wrote down your value proposition is the core message that defines the essence of your business and the primary reason someone would want to do business with you. And I think this is going to sound maybe a little hokey, but it should be part of your DNA. That's how strong this should be. It should be so deeply embedded in you that it becomes part of you. So I go back to my value proposition. It's still the same value proposition I have today. What that meant was everything I did or didn't do revolved around that value proposition. So those times when I wouldn't want to call that seller and talk about that price reduction, if I was in integrity, I had to call the seller and have that conversation because that's who I was. If the seller had a daughter was living in the house and she smoked God knows what all day long, and I knew that was going to be a difficult conversation to have, guess what? My value proposition said that I had to do that because that's really my character of my business, if you will. So this idea of value proposition is so woven within us that it causes you, if you really believe it, it changes the way you operate your life, and especially your business life. So here's what it should do for you from a business perspective. So first of all, it should differentiate you in a crowd of, I don't know how many millions of agents we have right now, far too many, but in all of your markets, are there a lot of agents? Yeah. In all of your markets, are there a lot of agents that are really crappy? Everybody say yes. Are agents that are crappy getting listings today? The answer is yes. Are there agents that are great that are getting listings today? The answer is yes. So why would someone choose one agent over the other? Now, I know what all of you would say. Well, there's these discount brokers, and I think there are always people that are going to gravitate towards the cheapest route. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not saying it so you think I'm cool, but in all of my years, I've really only had two people ask me to reduce my commission twice. They were both family members, right? That asked me to reduce my commission. So the reality is, why is that? Why is that? Because when I walk in the door, they can see who I am. And when they see that value, they don't ask for the commission to be cut. So this should differentiate you from all of the commission cutters. Number two, it should attract the right client. See, I'm not looking to attract the client that wants to pay a flat fee. Do you guys want that client? I don't even want to convince that client. I'm looking for someone that actually has to sell their house, that understands that this is a complex transaction, and that we do more than just put a sign in the front yard and put it in MLS. Your value proposition should show that you are trustworthy and credible. Now, I'm going to say something that you guys are going to say, gosh, that's the opposite of what I've always heard. See, I don't think that sellers list with you because of the script that you use. Now, after you fall on the floor, because we've all been raised in the script world. Guys, it's not the script. That's not the reason that they're listing with you. They look at you and they see you and they say, this is the person that I want to do business with. I trust them. They're credible. I can see that I'm going to be in a relationship with this person and it's going to be a workable situation. Now, the scripts are great because they're crafted to get you from point A to point B, but it's the words aren't magic, guys and gals. It's not about the words. It's about how you carry yourself when you walk in the room. So this value proposition creates that credibility, and it shows them that you have integrity and that you have character and that you have the confidence to get their property sold. Have you ever wondered why one person can go on a listing presentation and give a script and another person can do the same script and they list with one person over the other? Has that ever happened to you guys? Same script, but yet one person gets the listing over the other, right? Well, what's the difference? The difference is what we're talking about. How does that client feel when that agent walks in the room? When they're, I call it knee to knee, when you're at that table and they're looking at you in the eye, do they look at you and say, Mike Sampson, I believe in you. I want to do business with you, right? If they don't see that, the script doesn't matter. It's about how you feel about yourself when you walk in the room. Now, Beth just said it's all about the trust. That's right. They have to like you. They have to trust you. They have to believe that you're the right person. And if you believe in yourself, which is what we're really talking about, you're going to radiate that and you're going to attract them. Now, in terms of, and I mentioned this a little bit, this should be part of your marketing. Whatever your value proposition is, it should be part of your marketing strategy, right? You should have this, the essence of this value proposition should be woven through everything. And it should really show who you are. But on the other hand, I'd also say if you really believe it, it's almost unspoken. I mean, I don't know how many times someone have said, why should you list with me? If they said that, I would say, here's why you should list with me. Because no one is going to communicate with you better. You're going to know what's happening with your home every single day. And our level of customer service is far beyond anyone in the market. And number two, I'm always going to tell you the truth, and you and I are going to work together to get you the highest price. Now, did I just communicate what my value proposition is? Yeah. So that's what we're talking about. What is who are you? So let's move on to that for a second. So who are you as a real estate agent? Just think about this for a second. I'm going to pick on some of you that I know. Kelly, tell me who you are. She's like, I always pick on her. Don't pick on me today. Kelly, who are you as a real estate agent?
Well, I'm a trustworthy real estate agent. I like to communicate. I'm always calling and communicating, but I also I treat people how I want to be treated. And like everything that you're saying is what I do, and I feel good about it. And I like that you're reminding us, telling the truth, that sometimes there's things that we may not want to share with them, but straight shooting it to them the way it should be is good.
Excellent. Mike Sampson, who are you as a real estate agent?
Good question, Sydney. I'm your trusted veteran, 30 years realtor who will negotiate on your behalf like a pit bull with rabies.
I love that. So we just heard two examples of agents who really know who they are. Now, for either one of those, that would work for a buyer or a seller, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. So your value proposition doesn't have to be different depending on who you're working with. It could be. I mean, there are situations, and I've got some different examples of people that are different ways that people are positioning themselves. You've heard people say they're luxury specialists, right? I have an agent that I've coached for a long time that she She only works one section of town, and that is the higher end part of town. And she's willing to give up listings that are in a different part of the city because she only wants to be known as a specialist in that area. So for her, it's luxury. It could be neighborhood specialist. You guys have heard that before. I know there are some people that are farming. I mean, I know that some of you are still farming, and that's okay. And because it's great, but that is part of that value proposition. We've got senior specialists. And I'll tell you what, that would be actually a very good with the way that the baby boomers are aging and now the millennials are can you believe the millennials are in their 40s now, guys? Isn't that crazy? We're an aging society. Beth is like, really? Yeah. They are aging. So being a senior specialist would be a good thing. We've got green specialists today. So there's all different types of niche markets that you could guide yourself towards. Does anybody work a lot of investors? I've got a couple of agents that's all they do are investors. I have some agents that only want to list property. Is that a niche market? Yeah. I also have some that only want to work buyers, and that's okay too. Point is you have to know who you are and what you bring to the table. I'll share a little story with you. I coached two gentlemen. I'm going to call them David and Mike. So David and Mike work at the same company, but in a big metro area in different parts of the metro. Okay. They both do over 100 transactions a year. So if you talk to David and I said, David, what is your value proposition? What he would tell you is my marketing is I have the best marketing in the world. No one has better marketing than I do. I do this. I have the professional photos. I do drones. I've got, all these websites, blah, 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 blah. It's big. Now you have Mike over here who does none of that. Mike prospects every single day. He makes 40 to 50 contacts a day. And when you said, Mike, what is your value proposition? What he would say is, I'm an active realtor and I prospect every day. I'm on top of the market. No one knows this market better than I do. I can price the properties properly. I am an expert negotiator. Now, could those two value propositions be any different? They're the opposite. Mike has never, I don't even know if he has a website, honestly. Don't even think he has a website. But they both do over 100 transactions a year. So who's right? Which value proposition is right?
Both are.
Who said that?
I did.
You did.
Mike.
They both are.
Yeah.
And the reason they both are is because it's not, what's important is that they believe that that's what makes them a great real estate agent. So Mike isn't right and David's wrong, or vice versa. Marie isn't right and Tim is wrong, or vice versa. It's who you believe that you are. And once you do that and you walk in the room, they're going to know who you are. Does that make sense? All right. Now we've got 6 minutes and then I'm going to take some questions. And I want to tell you how to pull all of this together so that if you have to communicate it to someone, you can do it in a compelling way. All right. If someone were to ask you what your value proposition is and you were taken off guard, what do we have a tendency to do? We do this. We start talking and usually we fumble and it's very disconnected. Anybody, can you guys relate to that? That someone asks you a question and you're not prepared and you end up talking over the topic. So the very first thing that you want to do is you need to, and everybody write this down. You want to explain your value proposition in like 3 sentences, 5 at the most. 3 to 5 sentences. And when you craft these sentences, you should be able to tell them what the value proposition is. Please write that down. How it works and why it should be important to them. So it's a brief explanation, how it works, and why the client should think that that's important. So if we go back to David, he might say something like, Mr. Seller, you should list with me because I have the most advanced marketing strategy in the entire Metroplex. I'm going to provide you with professional photos, drone photos. You will have your own individual website where the technology is going to create leads that are specific to your property. Because of that, and that exposure, we will get your home exposed to multiple people and drive the price up so we can get you the most amount for your property. Now that's a little rough, but that's the idea. So in 3 to 5 sentences, you've got to bang them between the eyes. You have to be able to say to them, this is who I am, this is why this works, and this is why this should be important to you. So if I were talking for my American clients that are on this call today, once all this goes into place in a couple of weeks, if a buyer said, why should I work with you? I would say, you should work with me because I have the experience to help you find the right house, and we will craft your offer so that if there are multiple offers on the property, you will secure the property for the absolute best price and best terms that are available today. Okay, is that powerful? It's not going to be, well, you should actually do business with me because, you know, I just love houses. I love houses, and I'm available on Sundays. No, if they're going to pay me a commission, thousands of dollars, it's got to be so compelling that they say, oh my gosh, I absolutely want to work with this gal. So you state your value proposition, just the way that we talked about. And then if you really want to like plus it up, then give them a short testimonial, write this down, of another client that has used your services and seen great results. If I'm using the buyer example, I might say, you know, I just had a buyer that I worked with last weekend, and there were 22 offers on the property. We wrote the offer very competitively at a price that was favorable to my buyer, and they beat out the 22, and they got the house that they were looking for in the time frame they were looking for. So you're going to tie in a testimonial that proves what you're saying is true, because proof is better, honestly, than us even saying it, right? And then the third part of this is you're going to do a trial close. Now, Mr. Buyer or Mr. Seller, whichever the case may be, can you see how important it is that you have an agent like me representing you so that you can purchase the house that you want under the terms that you want? Does that make sense? And they say yes. So then boom, put the paperwork out, get them to sign it, and you move on down the road. So here's the homework behind this, guys and gals. You've got to do some soul searching, and you need to figure out who you are as a real estate agent. What makes you special? What do you feel really good about? And it could fit into a lot of different categories. Mine are really more about me because it's about honesty and communication. It could be technology. It could be, like Mike said, his years in the business. That could be part of your value proposition. It could be your experience maybe that you've had in other fields. You know, I've had real estate agents that used to be attorneys, right? Or that were in finance before. How can you use that to be part of your value proposition? Maybe you were an appraiser and you can use that. But are there things about you where you stand out? I'll tell you what, guys, If you're a full-time agent today and you're 100% dedicated to this business, 100%, that sets you apart from about 80% of the agents that are out there, doesn't it? So I'd be using that as well. So to recap, and then I'll open it up for some questions. Number one, you have to buy into the fact that the value proposition is important. You have to understand why this is a critical part, the essence of your business. Number two, we're going to identify what it is for you. Then we're going to script it out and practice it so that it's so powerful, you believe it. So when you walk in the door, they can already see the character of who you are. And then you may not even need to talk about the value proposition. And then the fourth thing is your value proposition should be reflected in everything that you do, including all of your social media, your collateral material. Everything should lead back to who you are as an agent. Don't take this information and think, oh, this is something I'll work on down the road. This has never been more important than right now. Especially for the Americans, because of these changes, us knowing who we are is critical, whether you're listing property or you're working with a buyer. Our ability to communicate our value is how we will thrive moving forward. All right, questions about value proposition or anything else for that matter. We'll go a little bit long. We can go another 5 minutes or so if we have some questions. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question, Sydney. This is Corey.
Hey, Corey.
Hey, actually, just going back to what you just said, I wrote down buying at a value proposition is important. You mentioned script out and practice what you believe, and then reflect in everything you do in your marketing. You said 4, though. I missed one in there. What was the second one?
No, I think that was the fourth one. I don't remember.
Okay.
The scripting and the practice, for those of you that role play the way that you should be, this is something you should be role playing.
Okay.
And it's when I say it should punch. You don't know me very well, but it should punch them between the eyes. When you say this, they should be like, wow, that's impressive. This is a person that believes, that understands who they are. And for some of you guys, this may not come naturally. You may have to think about this for some time. Talk to your coach, call me, let's discuss it. And let's figure out how we can get you where you're that confident person, because they want to do business today with people that are the most confident. We're coming out of that period where it's, oh gosh, but I like them so much. It's okay that they like you, but they need to respect you and want to pay you thousands of dollars to get the job done. Other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Corey. Mike, any questions?
I've got an off-topic question.
Please.
Oftentimes, we've all run into the situation where we have a prospective client, typically a seller, and they need a vendor of some sort. And hopefully most of us have great black books, if you will. Oftentimes when I give them the best landscaper, painter, whoever, they take that run and then list with somebody else. Now, maybe that's meant to be, and I'm overthinking it and should just let it go, but just curious, any thoughts on doing that differently?
That's an interesting dilemma, and I know we've all been faced with that. What I would say about that is I don't know that there's a better way to do it. I think that we give a lot of information for free all the time, don't we? That's it's just the way that the business is. Mike, if that is happening to you a lot, I would go back and look at, instead of looking at the client and say, well, why did that client do that? Look within and say, what could I have done differently to secure that listing so that that didn't happen? Because we'll say, well, you know, to protect our own egos, a lot of times we'll say, oh, well, they listed at a higher price, or they went with another agent because, or they were just trying to get information out of me. I'm a believer that if they have you out to the house or on a Zoom or whatever the situation is for the presentation, they had us there for a reason. They want us, they want to be sold. They want us to convince them that we're the agent. And if we're not doing that at least 70% of the time, we have to look within. Does that make sense, Mike? And we've all been faced with that, by the way. So
It does, yes. And sometimes that just happens. I'm hoping we all are, that it comes across as part of our value proposition. Look, this guy referred a great painter to me and he was fantastic.
absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
you're kind of setting, hopefully, the tone.
absolutely. Good question. Thank you. Other questions? All right, I'm going to close out with this, and this is a little off topic too. But I want to remind everyone that we are the first day of August. And really production-wise, you've got August, September, October, and maybe November. So don't be fooled into thinking you have 5 months left in the year. You really don't have 5 months, guys. You've probably got 3.5 if you take out the days that you're not working or that you're, you know, kids going to school, whatever. It's tick-tock. We are reaching the end of the year. So make the most of this. You know, August can be a tricky month because of kids going back to school and the heat and so forth. Take advantage of this when everybody else is laying back. Let's go faster. Put your foot on the accelerator, and over the next 90 days, we've really got to take it to the next level, because to finish the year strong, it's already started. So make the most of the time that we have left. Okay. And then, of course, the next time you guys talk to me, hopefully will be, don't forget about the event that we're doing at in Scottsdale in September. As soon as we get through with that event, we'll be talking about business planning for next year. So if you haven't made your reservations to go to Scottsdale, go to the website and do that. It's going to be a powerful 2 days. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. And it's so great to be with you guys today. I got to see some fun faces that I haven't seen in a while. You guys are awesome. As always, you can reach out to me, and I'd love to help any of you. So have a great one. We'll see you later.